Thank you everyone for joining us here today at Levittown Public Library, Agaski with Kimberly class. Today is Monday, January 24th, 2022, approximately 11 a.m. Go ahead, Kim.
Welcome back, everybody. Good to see you. Let me grab my strap. I'm going to show you some of the tools we're going to be using today. If you're brand new, we're going to be stimulating the body in ways you don't normally get. And the body is going to auto-correct itself because posture isn't good or bad. It just is. Actually, that's not true. I'll say people have bad posture all the time in my head, but not to you guys. So what we're going to be using today is going to be a strap or a belt. You guys have seen me use this before. It must have the ability to apply resistance. So I push out on this and it doesn't go anywhere. Those PT rubber straps, no, not going to work. So get yourself a good belt. We're going to be using that. Other thing we're going to be using is a block or a pillow. You guys might have those yoga blocks, pink, blue, I don't care what color, has to have resistance. So if you're using a pillow off of your bed, fold it in half or even in thirds when we do use it. Other thing we're going to be using today, and this one's really interesting, we're going to be doing the ankle sequence. Now, I have a slant board. Some of you have slant boards, some of you do not. If you don't have a slant board, you're going to be getting yourself a nice big book, or you're going to get yourself a big flat piece of wood, or maybe even compromise with tops off of things. This is one of my containers that I have. And I could put this up against the wall with a block behind it. And I could put my feet on top of this while I'm sitting. We're not going to be putting a lot of load on this today because we're going to be doing ankle sequence. So we're going to be doing work like so, and then flip it around and be doing work like so. But even if you don't have anything like this, it doesn't matter. I'm just giving you the opportunity to enjoy ankle sequence. So even if you don't have a slant board or these big stupid things around the house that you can do this with, it's still gonna work. So just stay with me, everybody. First move we're gonna do today is a standing move against the wall. It's a really tough one. It's called standing at wall. So I want you guys to find a door or a wall. If you don't have that, I'll give you a modification. Put your heels on it, turn your feet straight ahead, make sure your feet are hip distance. Hip distance is the length of a dollar bill right across your pelvis. That is the distance between both hip joints. Straight out of that should fall the center of your knees and the center of your ankles. So keep that in the back of your mind. If anything you're experiencing today doesn't feel right or hurts, please stop the move. I'll give you as many modifications as I can. We're going to stand here for a couple of minutes. If you don't have a wall or a door to stand against, some of you don't, you can go into the middle of your room and go pigeon-toed. In fact, you could do pigeon-toed against the wall if you enjoy that. You've done that with me in the past. So pigeon-toed is rotating inward from both hips. So your feet invert. So you're pigeon-toed. Keep your thighs tight if you're going to do this. And just hang out here. See? So even if you don't have a wall, you can get something done. I forgot to add, some of you doing wall exercises, if you have a different shape on your back or on your butt, and that's actually pushing you off of the wall so your hips are further forward than your ankles, you might want to step a couple inches away from the wall because the point of any of the wall moves is to stack your shoulders, hips, knees, and ankles on top of each other. That's what we're going for. If you're still hunting around trying to find some articles so we can do the ankle sequence later, now's a great time to do it. That's why I did a start with a standing move. I think I showed the ankle sequence about 1.5 years ago. If you look back into all those old videos, I did it with it was a big Ferrari book I had, and I put it on top of some of my blocks and other books. You can get it done. One more minute, everybody. And we are going to do a pretty decent workout towards the end of this as well. Remember, if some of you have shoulder issues, I'll try to remember and modify as I'm doing it, but sometimes I get so involved I forget. If you've got shoulder issues, planks may not work for you. So you can certainly plank against the wall. You could do things like a forearm stretch or just press yourself against the wall, put your hands in front of you. You could do things like that, or come back to a move like this. You could do simple things like shoulder elevations, or even standing in the middle of the room doing shoulder rolls. That's okay. So if any of the tougher stuff we're going to do later, like planks, that's on the menu. If that bothers you, then you can opt to do so many other things. Let's pick another move. Fantastic, everybody. We're going to get down to the floor and we're going to start it with some of the really good stretches and moves that you know, hip crossover stretch. If you can't get down on the floor today, you can definitely get this done in a chair. If you sit in a chair, you're going to cross one ankle over on top of the other, and you're going to twist your body. Rest of us are going down to the floor for hip crossover stretch. So you lay down on the floor. We're going to hold 1 minute each side. I'd like you to bring your arms out to a T and go palms face down. This position with my legs is called hook lying position. You want to keep your feet in line with your hips. Same idea as when we were standing. I'm going to cross my left ankle to my right knee. Notice I'm not sliding my right foot. None of that. No, no, no. Keep the feet in line with your hips. Now I'm going to twist through my lower back and let my legs fall to the floor. This is where you're going to start cheating. So don't let your legs slide across the floor. You want to keep them in the same position that we started in. You want to keep that same alignment with your hip. I'm holding just for 1 minute, everybody. I'm not letting my knee flop in towards my chest. I'm actively drawing that knee away from me through the muscles of my hip. So I'm actually pointing my knee up towards the ceiling, and I'm working pretty hard to do that. This move is called hip crossover stretch. I am working off of one of the older menus, so we're going to see some more challenging moves. We're going to do some sitting floor arm circles. Oh my goodness, those stink. They're so hard to do, and you can't do them against the wall. So you will have the opportunity to do them standing or skip them and do shoulder rolls. So I know some of you have some shoulder pain. You're working with some issues, so you could do shoulder rolls. Other side, everyone. So before I switch to my other side, I'm making sure I'm starting out clean. My feet are in line with my hips. I cross my ankle to my knee, and I begin the twist. It's best to go slowly just so you can pay attention to the cheating that you might do. So if you're new to this, start out and go slow. Be really aware of holding your form. I'm not letting my feet and legs slide all over the place. Once they start sliding, we're losing form. And again, this is a really active position. This is not me just hanging into a stretch and leaning on the integrity of tightened tissues. I am actively outwardly rotating through my hip to point my knee to the sky. I'm actively opening both of my hands, which is actually turning on the muscles through my upper back into both of my shoulders. It's a key to this move. I am dreading the next move just because I have a little belly nowadays, and oh my goodness, it makes it so uncomfortable, but I'm going to do it. We're going to do it together. Okay, come on out. We're going to do sitting floor twist. Another toughie. Again, if you're sitting in a chair, you can still get this done. You can sit in your chair like normal, and we're just going to twist again. You're just going to hold for another minute sitting in your chair. Everybody else, we're taking it to the floor. We are in the sitting floor position, everybody. That's one of the toughest positions that I can give people, is sitting floor, because it's dandasana in yoga, staff pose, meaning we're not just hanging out. It's not margarita pose. It's staff pose. Thighs are tight, ankles are dorsiflexed, and you're putting an arch into your lower back. That's the kicker, just like this. I know I make that look so pretty, everybody. It's different than lifting your chest, very different. Pull from your groin. So here's our sitting floor position. Now, here's the work. Pull your left knee in towards your chest, still holding that same position. I know, right? If you can't come further than that, then stay here. But if you can, we're going to cross the left ankle up over the right thigh. I'm going to twist my upper body towards my bent left knee. I'm still sitting upright with that curve in my lower back, and I'm holding for 1 minute. My elbow can go to the outside of my knee, but if it can't, you can just place the hand on your knee. Do not hug it in with your arm. I want you to use your hip muscles to point the knee to the sky. So we're actually going in the opposite direction than we were just a minute ago. I know you feel how tough this move is. Stick with me for 30 more seconds or so, a little more. Remember, a leg that's on the floor, ankle, dorsiflex, thigh, tight. So that leg is super straight while you put an arch into your lower back. I know, you feel that? You can get this done sitting in a chair if you wanted to. Put another chair in front of you and just put the leg out in front of that. You can give that a try. There's so many ways you can modify these things. I can't go over every one of them, but I'm trying my best. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Remember, you're not using your hands to pull the legs in, using your leg muscles. 2, 1. Relax. We're going to do a minute on the other side. Remember, you got to keep that arch in your lower back, and that comes from your hips, not from your spine. A little different. Sitting in pose, pull the knee in. If I can come further, cross it over. Still able to hold it. Fantastic. Here I go. I'm going to twist. Again, if I let go with my hands, my body still pretty much stays in pose. I'm not using my hands to hold myself up. I'm using my hips. Big difference, everybody. You'll notice one side feels different than the other, maybe easier in some respects, more challenging in others. When I was skinnier, this used to be a lot easier. Now I feel a little more bulky. It's okay. Can always lose weight. 15 seconds, everyone. This is a tough move to stay in. So every couple seconds, I'm checking, okay, thigh tight, ankle dorsiflex. Am I leaning too heavy in my hand? Feeling myself out. Good. Cats and dogs next. Either do it on hands and knees or sit in your chair. All we're doing is arching and rounding. Arching and rounding. 10, please. When you do this on hands and knees, I want you to look between your knees. Make sure you cannot see your ankles. If you can see your ankles, you're doing it wrong. The ankles must be positioned in the same line as your hips. If you see your ankles are too close together. We're 2 moves away from one of the hardest moves. I know. Did you think that move was hard? It gets harder. But if you can't stay with it, do it for a second. Do it for 2 seconds. Anybody could do anything for 2 seconds. Let's give it a try. We're going to do downward facing dog next, and we're going to hold that one for a minute. If you cannot do downward facing dog on hands and knees, you could get it done on the wall. We've done it before. Same idea. Put your hands on the wall and just walk your feet away. So it's going to feel like a nice upper back stretch when you do it on the wall. But when you do it on the floor, excuse me, I like to bend my knees so I can actually get my hips to activate. When the knees straighten, my hips tend to shut down because I can't get that much flexion. You guys are usually right there with me. Same thing going on. So if you bend your knees a bit and try and get your weight over your hips, you'll feel them start to turn on. I'm trying to pull back from my hips rather than push back from my hands. And it's usually a losing battle, but we're trying. Again, if you wanted to do this on the wall, it would look like this. Same idea, everybody. Same idea. 20 seconds. 20 seconds, downward doggers. Fantastic. Come on out. We're going to do arm circles next, and we're going to do it in the sitting floor position. If that stinks for you, sit on a chair. You can do shoulder rolls instead of our arm circles, because those are pretty intense. Arm circles come with a special hand position. It's called modified golf grip. You take your hands together, then you put them into fists. Now you flatten your fists and stick your thumbs out. Almost said stick your stupid thumb out. Yeah, because it sounds funny. Stick your stupid thumbs out like you're hitchhiking. It's a very open palm move. And we're going to keep that grip while we do the arm circles. Again, if arm circles hurt you, just have a seat or stand up and work on full shoulder rolls forward and backward. Sitting floor arm circles. Here we go. Thighs are tight, so the backs of your knees are pressing into the floor. Ankles, dorsiflex. I'm pulling them backwards towards me. Lower back, try to put the arch into it and keep it. Now, modified golf grip, arms out to the sides, circle up and forwards. 40 times. Again, this is not an easy move. You can get it done sitting, standing, kneeling, or in the sitting floor position, which is what I'm demonstrating right now. Thighs tight, Kim. I almost lost it. We're going to go backwards. When we go backwards, you turn your palms up. I'm going to turn to face the camera just because you might want to see this from this angle. Again, my thighs are tight. I'm trying to put that arch into my lower back. I'm trying. And I got my stupid thumbs out. Sticky stupid thumbs out. Not an easy one, not at all. But we're going to take a break right after it. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, done. We're going to do some knee drops. This one's usually done on the floor. You could definitely get it done in a chair. Put your feet on the floor and drop your knees back and forth. Knee drops. Lay down, everybody. Feels real good. Come into the hook line position. We're going to do one set of 20, and I'll see how I feel after that. Try to keep your feet a little bit wider than hip distance for this one. You don't have to, but this is my preference just for this move. That's going to get a little bit more internal rotation from both of your femurs. Tendency is for most of us to avoid that. I see more external rotation than I do internal. But try it out. If you want to go a little bit narrower with your feet and that feels even better, you get more of a benefit from it, go for it. But tendency is the closer your feet come, the more locked your pelvis becomes. So I stance the feet out wider so that actually both sides of the pelvis start to do this kind of seesaw movement. We want either side of the pelvis to unlock. So if the feet come close, all we do is just twist through the lower back and the pelvis stays in place. So that's why I'm asking you to do that. Double check with your feet. They have a tendency to evert in this move. Keep them parallel. Upper body stays relaxed. Our goal is to reach both of our knees towards the floor. It's not going to happen, but that's what you want to do. Just reach. Oh, this feels good. I want to stay here for 40, but I'm not going to. I'm going to give you guys something else. We're going to come out of this and go in for glute squeezes. No, I haven't touched on these in such a long time. I keep forgetting these, keep leaving them. I'm doing other stuff. Let's touch on glute squeezes. Hook line position. You're just going to squeeze your butt cheeks together and then let them go, both at the same time. Squeeze them and let them go. Do not use your belly for this. If you're noticing you're using your belly or you put your hands on your butt and wow, I'm not squeezing anything, I don't feel anything going on, then straighten your legs out in front of you. Can you get this done sitting in a chair? Absolutely. Just butt squeezes, everybody. I know I can't hear anybody shouting out to me, but is this a unilateral move or a bilateral move? For everybody that said bilateral, good for you. This is a bilateral move, both sides at the same time. Fantastic glute squeezing, everybody. I hope you've been following my recommendations. If you cannot feel your butt doing any work using your hands, if you can't feel the muscles contracting, then you've got to extend your legs out straight. We haven't hit the cross crawl in a long time. And that's actually one that helps me unlock my own hip. So I'm going to give that to you guys right now. You can do this, not so much sitting in a chair, but you'll have to stand up to do this. Otherwise, we're laying down on the floor. So cross crawl looks like this. I'm laying my hands on my sides, either side of me, and I'm going to move opposite arm, opposite leg. So as my right arm comes up and over, my left knee pulls in towards my chest. But I'm really paying attention to that alignment. Let me turn towards the camera. You want to keep your ankles in the same line as your hip. One of my clients loves to bring her heel in towards her crotch and the leg goes out to the side. She loses it completely. So you want to keep everything in line, everybody. Can you do this standing up? Absolutely. So if you can't lay down on the floor, you're going to stand up and you're going to get this same thing done in the standing position. Try not to let your heel drop to your butt. So as you pull your knee into your chest, if you let your heel drop, it's going to shut off your hip. Keep your shin parallel to the floor. How do you know where your heel is? Well, pick your head up and look. Pick your head up and look. Check it out. Look at where your leg ends up. You might be surprised. You might be surprised. Fantastic. I see some of you doing it in the standing position. Try to keep your elbows straight when you do this. So that's the key, elbow nice and straight. It's harder to do it standing, granted, because gravity is really fighting you. But when you do it, elbow stays straight. Straight as you can make it. It's not about how high you go with your hand. And I'm glad that you're able to do this standing up, everybody. I'm watching a lot of people do this. And sometimes they're actually falling over because they've lost the ability to stabilize. But you will get better. So if you got to hold on to something, hold on to something. It's cool. Do what you can for today. We've got to take the body where it is. Take what it's got to give. All right, everybody. Are you ready? We're going to get up and we're going to do a minute-long squat. Don't feel like squatting today? Go ahead and do a static back. Squat's a little bit more active. When we do squats, in therapy, we're usually using a door handle or something to hang on to. We're going to do what's called a free squat. So it's a little bit more like our workout. We're going to put the arms in front of us, kind of like Frankenstein monster. And then you're going to squeeze your shoulders back and down like that. You're going to hold them there while we do the squat. Think about keeping a nice S curve in your spine while you do squat. So it's different than coming into chair pose in yoga. It's not Utkatasana. You don't want to engage the bandha and tuck the tailbone under. It's a little different style. I want you to think about hip flexors that create the S curve in the spine when you sit, okay? I'm going to hold it for 1 minute. Arms come out, shoulders back. Sit in your imaginary chair. Notice my knees. Notice my feet. They're all in the same line. I put them there. I keep them there. If you notice your knees love to dive in or dive out, put a pillow in between your knees. That'll force them to stay in place. What it's going to do is it's going to require both hips to start loading evenly. So if you notice your legs are going out or going in or something funky's happening, go ahead and put a block between your knees or a pillow. Just caught myself getting lazy on my shoulder squeeze. I'm not that low either. I'm not sitting that low. I've seen some people squat like this, and believe it or not, that's basically you laying your chest on your thighs. You're not actually flexing much more from your pelvis. You're just flexing from your spine. So it's a little bit different. Fantastic. Come on out. I hope you guys are getting sweaty like I am. Here we go. I'm going to crack a window. I want you to grab your block, your book, your piece of wood, your, I don't know what it is, what you've got, or nothing at all. If you don't have a slant board, it's not a big deal. Also, grab your pillow or your yoga block and grab your belt. We're going to do this in a chair. And bring your chair either against the wall. Strike that. So your feet go against the wall. Because depending on what you're using, if it's a book or something else, you're going to need that to stay in place, and it won't stay in place unless you have it propped up against the wall. Make sense? We're going to start with the position with our ankles in plantar flexion and using our block. So here's my slant board. Again, if you don't have a slant board, it doesn't matter. There's a lot of work going on here. Even if your feet are flat on the floor, this will work. Best way to do this, believe it or not, and this is the only time I ever have people doing it, we're going to slouch. We're going to slouch. Don't try to sit upright in this move. You're going to put your pillow in between your knees. And again, I'm sitting in a slouch. Do not try to put your pelvis in extension for the ankle sequence. If you've got the conditions correct and you want to put your feet into plantar flexion, ankles into plantar flexion, go for it. So we're sitting here and we're doing knee pillow squeezes. Squeeze, release, squeeze, release. All I'm doing is squeezing the block, except I'm doing it with a relaxed lower back and relaxed pelvis. That's the trick. What we're going for when we do this ankle sequence is actually to get the ankles, knees, and hips to talk. All we're doing, this is our starting move, is just squeezing the block. For those of you that don't have any angle with your ankle, your foot is just flat on the floor while we're squeezing the block. It's still going to work, everybody. The angle is just adding extra challenge. Here we go. Squeeze the block, hold it, lift your toes and lower them. So it's not just the toes, it's the balls of the feet. So I'm coming onto my heels. I'm going to turn so you can see it from the front angle. So again, even if your feet are flat on the floor, you can get this done. So now we're asking the ankles to do some work while the hips are turned on, squeezing in the block. And this is a little bit tough to do because you can't see your toes. The block or pillow's in the way, right? So try and move it a little bit. Watch what your feet are doing. You want them to be cleanly lifting and lowering. None of this everting stuff or inverting or crooked. You want to try and retrain your ankles how to take cues from your hips. You can see why this is called the ankle sequence, because guess what? We're going to keep the toes down and now lift the heels. And this gets a little tough because we're on this funky angle. Again, you can do this when you're on the floor. You don't need to have the angle, but the angle is there for you guys if you want to add the extra challenge. So I'm keeping my toes down, and now I'm lifting my heels up and down, up and down. I'm not applying terrible pressure on this. It's not immense, but it's enough to hold both knees in the same line. That's all I'm going for. This is called the ankle sequence, and you better bet I'm going to flip the angle around and do the same sequence again with my ankles in dorsiflexion. So when you're done with this, if you weren't able to get a device that looks like this, a book or something, maybe you'll look around and you might find something for later. Okay, turn it around, everybody. Now I'm going to put my ankles into dorsiflexion and go through the same thing. Even if you have your feet flat on the floor, this is still a beneficial exercise, so don't fret. Put your block in between your knees, squeeze it and release. No ankle movement yet. Again, keep the slouch. This is the only time I ask everybody to slouch. Just squeezing and releasing. So again, if you found yourselves a nice big book and you've got it propped up on this funky angle like I do, you're going to find the next portion of this move really tough. We're going to squeeze the block and hold it, lift the toes off of the block or book or whatever the heck we have our feet on. It's nearly impossible. It's not going to move much, but you're going to feel some activation. That's what we're going for. Ankle sequence, that's what this is called. I don't think you can find any Egoscue therapist that says ankle sequence isn't for this person, that person, that person, unless you got into a really bad accident and you've got pins and stuff. But ankle sequence for everybody, everybody, everybody. Again, I'm trying to get my toes to come closer to me. That's what I'm doing, I'm lifting. Taking my ankle into further dorsiflexion if I can. This is the hardest one. Now, put your ankle into plantar flexion. Lift the heels. A lot easier, a little more satisfying because there's movement, right? Again, please don't get down on yourself if you don't have a slant board or a book or something that you found. This is still beneficial with your feet flat on the floor. The slant is just added challenge. Anybody else feel it? Some shaking as your legs go down or go through this motion. It's the nervous system repatterning, not quite sure how to smoothly activate. It happens. I hope you have your strap nearby because we're going to go through that next. Take the block out. Strap goes around the legs. Strap, belt, same thing. When you're using your belt, sitting in your chair, it's the same thing as when we're laying down. You want to keep the knees in line with your hips. So tighten it up so that you get that effect. I'm going to flip my slant board around again. So my ankles are in plantar flexion. Toes are down. Slouch, everybody. We're in the slouch. Push out on the strap and release. Even if your feet are flat on the floor and there's no slant, this is beneficial. You don't have to have a slant board in order to get this done. But I gave away my book that I had, so I don't have it anymore. And I do have a slant board. All right, is everybody ready for the work? We're going to pick the toes up. Now you should be able to see your feet. Make sure your feet stay parallel. I'm still putting some pressure on the strap. Not hard, but enough to feel some work. We're trying to keep the ankles staying in this beautiful, clean, parallel line. When we walk, for most of us, it certainly doesn't do that. So this is actually going to change how you walk. I know you believe me. I am dreading the workout that I'm going to give you guys. But I'm going to do it. All right, heels up now, everybody. Heels up. So the heels lift and lower, lift and lower. Oops, lift and lower, heels. Still applying some pressure out on the strap. Oh, caught myself trying to sit up. Relax, relax. Stay in the slouch. This is the slouchy move. Oh, everybody feel that maybe in their butt as they keep the pressure on the strap? Good, that's what we want. I am going to flip the slant board around and go through that sequence again. Now my toes are on the upward angle, if you're following me with angle. If not, don't worry about it. Slouch, press, no lifting yet. Repetitive press over and over. One of the keys I forgot to mention, and again, it's being kind of like a stickler. You want your knees to stay higher than your hips So we're in really, really deep hip flexion. If you were to put my back on the floor and put my feet on the wall, we'd be in one of your favorite positions. We're in the hip flexor abdominal position. Really, really deep hip flexion. Some of you guys really enjoy that position. It's a lot of work. So your knees are almost in line with your belly button. Here we go. Lift the toes over and over while keeping pressure on the strap. Really take a look at your feet while you do this, especially when your knees are pressing out. Your feet are going to want to turn out to get the lift. Keep them straight, parallel, parallel. Ooh-wee. Oh, just caught myself getting a little bit lax on the strap. So keep that pressure on the strap while you try to lift the ankles into dorsiflexion, dorsiflexion. Okay, plantar flexion, last part of the sequence. Push out on the strap, heels come up, plantar flexion. Just caught myself trying to sit up straight using all the muscles in my back, the erector spinae. Cut it out, stay slouched. Stay slouched. See what years of Vygotsky sitting up straight will do to you? Woo-wee. Again, this move is called ankle sequence. Taking the ankles through different angles and asking them to do work. That's all, in conjunction with the hips. My goodness, I hope you enjoyed that. Now we're going to sweat a little bit. Remember, if you have a hard time doing planks because you got some shoulder issues, like I used to have, I couldn't do the planks, you can do it against the wall or totally skip it. Do shoulder rolls or do crunches or lay on the floor, do bridges. Absolutely. Pick something else that works for you. Try to modify as best I can. This sequence that I'm going to give you is a nice one. Peter Goskew does it on YouTube. If you want to listen to him instead, it's a 14-minute long workout. I'm going to cut it a little bit short by taking some of the reps out of it, but I think you're going to like it. Let's stand nice and wide. We're going to do alternate toe touches. Sometimes he bends his knees when he does it. Sometimes it's straight. I'll leave that up to you guys. I'd like to stay straight this morning, so I'm going to go back and forth 20 times. Even if I can't touch a toe, go towards a knee. So if you can touch a toe, great. I want you to try to keep your hips in the same position, so I'm not dropping and twisting to hit that toe. Six, 5, 4, 3. I don't care if it's a knee or a toe or a hip. Reach opposite, back and forth. Great. Come on out. I'm going to show you guys. Oh, these stink. These stink. Forward inchworm and backward inchworm. But I'm going to give it to you in a modified perspective first, and then I'm going to do it on the floor. So if you're not willing to come down to the floor and do a plank, you could put your hands on a chair in front of you or even on the wall in front of you. Walk your feet back. Arch. Walk your feet forward. There's that option. You can come lower onto a chair. Walk your feet back. Arch. Walk your feet forward. Fully on the floor is a little bit different. Come from standing. Walk out. Drop. So it looks like a cobra. Walk to your hands. So we're going to do 5, and then we're going to do them backwards. You got your choice. You can do it on the floor, or if you want to stay static and just stand against the wall pigeon-toed, your choice. However your shoulders feel. Here we go. I'm walking out for 5. Drop, get a nice stretch. Walk the feet to the hands. Try to keep your knees nice and straight. 4. Drop, open the chest. Stand up. 3. Walk out. Again, you can do this on the wall. You can do this off a chair. Or you can pick something else. 2 more. Walk out, knees stay straight. Shoulders back, drop. Last one. This is called inchworm. Fantastic, everybody. Now we're going to do it backwards. Oh, good. I like that. I'm watching one of you guys just doing some twisting. Good. Pick something, go for it. We're going to do 5 backwards, everybody. I'm going to reach down, touch the floor, walk my feet back, arch, walk my hands back, and stand up. 4 more. Keeping my knees straight. Not easy. And you can't get this done on a couch, so just continue doing what you did before. You can walk your feet to the couch and keep going. Hands back. Almost done with these, everybody. They actually feel kind of good. I don't know why I've hated these. Last one, my friends. Oh. Fantastic. Like I said, I'm going to be skipping some because I'm saving time. We're going to get down onto the floor and work on flutter kicks. These aren't easy for some of you, but there's an alternative. You can sit on a chair and do flutter kicks. You want to try to not bend the knees, but if you do, it's not going to kill anybody. I did a breakdown, I think it was last year sometime. Some of you had a hard time actually getting the flutter and holding. So we worked on doing one leg, other leg, one leg, other leg. You're just going to go a little bit slower. If even that is hard for you to do, go ahead and bend the knees and lift one leg and the other leg. We got to start somewhere. But I'm going to work on 50 flutter kicks. It's not the worst. I like to put my hands underneath my butt. Legs stay straight. Toes point up to the sky for the beginning. I go in sets of 10, and then I change the position of my ankles. So I go plantar flexion and dorsiflexion. All of this leverage is being put on the hips and hip flexors, connectors between your lower back and into your legs. It's a tough move. I'll do 50, you can do 2. So just do what you can. Feels so good, I want to do 100, but relax. We're going to move into something called V-ups, and I know you guys hate them. I know you hate them. Before we do V-ups, I'm going to give you a chance to just take a little break. We're going to do frog position. Now you can do frog sitting in a chair. You can just put another chair in front of you, or sit in an ottoman like so, or lay on your back like I'm going to. Good old frog. Knees come out to the sides, and the soles of the feet touch. This is our frog position. A lot of times we do shoulder exercises in our frog position. If you like doing that, go for it. I always like to check and see, how's my shoulder doing? Do I have any more range of motion? So I do like checking that, and then go for some pullovers to see what's going on there. Okay, a little different. Egoscue style push-ups really helps the range of motion in my shoulder. It's short-winded. It doesn't last all day. It only lasts for a couple of minutes, but at least I know that if I can get the muscles to wake up and hold my shoulder in that position more often, it will last longer. So at least I see where the change can happen. So I'm working on it. That's the same way of thinking I'd like you guys to cultivate. So if you notice, hey, it changed, but it only stayed for an hour. This is buckus. If it only stayed for an hour, at least we have the ability to change it. We just have to find the right move that will help keep it for longer. Okay, everybody, come on out. I'm going to show you V-ups. V-ups are done on the floor. You can do them sitting in a chair. We're going to try and lift both legs up off of the floor at the same time, but I'm also going to meet my feet with my hands in the middle of my body. So if you're doing it on a chair, it's going to look more like this. From the floor, a full V-up looks like this. And we're going to do 10 if you can. 10 V-ups. Here I go. You guys pick what you want to do. If it's too tough to lift both legs at the same time, maybe you lift one leg, or maybe you just bring a knee into your chest. Figure it out, get it done. Man, am I twisted from that shoulder. Woo! 4, 3, 2, 1. Does that feel great? No, it doesn't. It feels like work. Come on up, everybody. We're going to do a stork walk. Interlace your hands behind your head. Draw your elbows back. When you do stork walk, walking around, I want you to think about the cross crawl that we did earlier, where the knees stay in line with your hip. But this time, I want you to actively pull your knee up towards your chest with a good strong tug. We're going to do this for 1 minute. Walk around the room and try walking backwards too. We did all that work into the ankles and the hips. It should be paying off now that we're standing up. We are going to finish out with some planks, and we're going to hold them for 3 to 5 breaths. It's your choice if you want to go longer. They are Egoscue style planks, so I want you to think about keeping the thighs tight, ankles dorsiflex when we're laying on the back or on the sides. When we come down to face the floor, I want you to think about keeping your shoulders back and down, just like we do when we were doing the arm circles. We're going to start out with our backwards plank. Hands go on the ground. If you can't get this done on the floor, you can absolutely get it done on a chair. I'm just going to show you how to do that. Bend your knees, and that'll help you begin to lift your butt. So this might be the beginnings of your plank, learning how to get your hips up from your hips. Got shoulder problems? Maybe you want to skip this one. Maybe you want to skip this one. It's only 3 breaths. Ankles dorsiflex, thighs tight, lift. 3, 2, 1, maybe 5 breaths, maybe more. My shoulder does not like this one, but I'm going to flip over to my side. Just a few breaths, that's all, everybody. Coming to the side, hand under shoulder. Legs straight out, dorsiflexed, tight thighs, lift. 3, 2, 1. Other side. You can get this done on a wall. You can get this done on a chair. Do something. Good. I see somebody doing leg lifts. There's something. Prep. Lift. 3, 2, 1. You can get it done on an elbow if the hand hurts, if your wrist hurts. Last one, 3 breaths. We're going to go face down for our plank. Shoulders stay back. Walk your feet back. 3, 2, 1. Relax. I'm going to finish out with cats and cows. I'm going to take you right back to the wall. Told you we were going to do planks. Not for everybody just yet. I remember there was a time I couldn't do planks. I couldn't even hold myself up for 3 breaths, but we're getting there. Elbows straight for cats and dogs, everyone. Elbows nice and straight. Good. We're going to come back to the wall. That's where we started. Standing at wall. Hopefully it feels a little bit different. Wall feels colder because I'm a lot hotter now. My left shoulder still isn't cooperating, so I'm going to do some shoulder work against the wall here, but I'm going to add in my hips, so I'm going to go pigeon-toed. So I know that left shoulder, it's never going to be right. It's never going to be right. So this is going to be a compensation for the remainder of my life. So I have to do the best that I can by asking everything else to work as close to 100% as I can. So I'm going pigeon-toed. That's going to help balance my weight between both legs. I'm going to squeeze my shoulders back against the wall, lift and lower. These are scapular elevations. I'm keeping my scapulars retracted. Those are the shoulder blades. I'm doing this because I still feel a little bit off center. Stay with me another minute. This is almost an easy version of a plank. Even though in a plank we don't elevate the shoulders, we are asking the shoulder blade to retract, which is what happens when we get down into our push-up position. And it's what happens when we do Egoscue style planks. We ask the shoulder blades to retract. So this is similar to doing plank because we're asking shoulder blades come back, and we're also taking them through this range of motion. Remember how to stay back while we go up and down, shoulders. That's what we're asking. Remember, through this range of motion, can you stay back and down? As they remember that, they're going to feel more comfortable holding themselves in a back and down position without you thinking about it. That's why we do all of these moves and we stimulate the body so that it auto-corrects. It's not about being conscious throughout your whole day. Oh, how am I walking? How's my shoulders? No, no, no. Good, relax. Better. Even my thumb's starting to point forward again. Fantastic. I'll take it. Everybody else, I hope your thumbs are pointed straight ahead. The stupid thumbs are pointed straight ahead. Guys, thank you for joining me. And I will see you next week. There's no vacation on one day. You're going to see me next week. And stay alive on my emails. I'm sending out another one this week. Call to action. See ya.